What's up, everybody? I am the Demigodest. If you guys are new, please make sure you subscribe so you never miss a video from me. As I do drop multiple times a week for you guys, I have slowed down a little bit on dropping content. I feel like I'm going back to my original roots. If you guys don't know, I started this YouTube channel literally when YouTube started. And the original content on here, I actually used to talk about pop culture. I also used to dance a lot too. So I had dancing videos on here. But I wanted to talk about the Nene Leakes and Bethany Frankel interview, which a majority of the interview talked about their time on the Housewives, but primarily, which is on the company, the network, Bravo TV, okay? But it was primarily about Nene and her story and what she went through, like talking about like her background. So you could get a little bit understanding on how she thinks, how she moves. And I think it's very important that people, if you're gonna interview Nene, you need to really get the whole picture, from how she was raised all the way up to she's 50 years old now, I think. That's what she said in the interview. Um, because you get a better understanding on, people's viewpoints, why they react to certain things, why they move a certain way because of their upbringing, like 9 times out of 10, or some kind of traumatic experience. And I think that makes great journalism, and that kind of pieces in, have the development of someone's personality. And I think that's very important. I think any journalist should do it. And even if you're not a journalist, anyone that's having a podcast, you really should do your research on people before you interview them, and ask the right questions. Not only think about questions that's going to make you viral, but ask the correct questions that's going to help you along the way. Meaning, like, longevity wise, like, um, it should be helping the other person as well. It should be beneficial for both of you guys. It shouldn't just be based on the podcaster or the host. It should be based on the podcaster, production, the company, the sponsors, and the person you're interviewing as well. Everyone should have a piece of the pie. So rather that pie is, more notoriety, rather that pie is, more sponsorships. Maybe it's creating more opportunities for your guest, or you never know who's watching, your podcast or video, or your interview, and how that could open up doors or can make people realize certain things that they didn't know, or maybe stand up and find a voice and empower people. So I think it's very important when you have a platform to keep those things in mind. But let's get on into the interview. I felt extremely inspired because I have this love hate. I love videography, I love recording, but it's more of a thing like, okay, what am I going to record on, and I don't want to do anything I don't feel empowered by. And this is a topic with Nene Leaks that I think we should really dive in as bloggers and really talk about it. And not only just bloggers, like large networks, unions, lawyers, and get really rally behind Nene. I am a true Nene fan. And plus, she's a fellow Sagittarius, and I'm a Sagittarius as well. But when I say she is the most popular housewives, even though she's not on the Housewife franchise anymore, she is the most popular housewife. There is no reason, and Nene had mentioned this in the Bethany Frankel interview, and even when I watch, because I'm following her now on YouTube, I'm excited, how she's taking creative direction on their own, and, really just, okay, people want to close doors on you. They want to blackball you, because she did not use that word. But let's be clear, in the interview, when she was describing how she would be in the talks with certain companies or certain people to get things rolling for her, they would just go mute. Or there'll be people that would say, I can't do it. I love you, but if I work with you, then I can never work again. That is blackball. Let's be very clear. Okay. And I'm going to break down Everything is allegedly and it's for entertainment purposes. So, but I am going to break down the whole, I'm not going to say the whole franchise, just the experience from a viewer looking in. And as I said, Nene is the most popular housewife. I don't care what you say. None of these girls could run circles around her. None of them from any of the franchise. Not none of them. She paved the way for all of these girls. Yes, you had the Real Housewives of, what was it, OC, New York. You had all of that, right? You had all of them. But let's be clear, the Housewives, nobody was checking for the Housewives until Housewives of Atlanta popped off. Let's be real. Housewives of Atlanta took Bravo and took Andy Cohen to the next level. Okay, it was the Atlanta franchise, allegedly. It was the Atlanta franchise that bought it up. And I don't want to make this a race thing, but I am going to make it a race thing because, and Nene feels the same way too. As she went on in the interview, she talked about how some of the other franchise, her counterparts, her white counterparts, let's just be real. You got white housewives, you got black housewives, or brown housewives. Nene talked about how they could be throwing glass, how they could be going to prison, how they could be hitting each other, pulling people wigs, and they're still able to work for the company and come back, or maybe they'll sit out a season and they'll come back. They won't get demoted or anything. And when she, allegedly did something that she doesn't even know what she did, because allegedly the executives at Bravo won't even talk to her or have a conversation, and Andy Cohen won't have a conversation with her. Um, it's an issue. She's blackballed, allegedly. But let's be real. Nene has said she has not been working for 3 years since whatever that falling out is, which she's trying to, get to the bottom of it. She has, a legal case going on and trying to work with them, but allegedly they're not, being responsive. And honestly, if I'm going to be real, this is my true opinion. I think that is a crock of BS. How are you going to not give someone, even if they have their lawyer there, if you're so afraid of what they would say or what they would do? That's why lawyers are there. Why can't you have a mediator? This is a woman not only that put together allegedly the Atlanta cast, but she also, not just her alone, so I don't want to discredit any of the other women that has worked with her on the Atlanta franchise, but let's be fair, she is still to this day the most popular housewife and the fan favorite. Everyone always asks about Nene. Every time there's a meme, there's an incident, you see Nene all across social media. So let's be real, you don't see that with any of the other housewives, okay? And if you do, it is not to the magnitude as Nene Leakes. As she said, she in the interview, she doesn't get paid for the memes. Allegedly, they keep rerunning, her seasons, here in the United States and internationally, and she doesn't get a cent from it. And I think that's effed up. And I think that's effed up for everyone. I don't know how people contracts is now currently on any of the Housewives franchise, but I feel like they should be protected. Reality stars should be protected just as much as actors and actresses. Okay, how they have the SAG, right? They have the union. I believe, and I am with Bethany Frankel and Nene Leakes. There needs to be a union for instances like this, and if it takes Nene, kicking this off, and now Bethany, speaking out about it, that could empower other housewives. And listen, if any of the housewives is listening, if you guys will all band together, the executives cannot blackball you. But if the majority of you guys stand up, you will get some things changed. And I know some people is there for vanity, they're afraid and all of this. Listen, the only time someone listens is when you have an army behind you. Bravo has a machine, they have the money, they have all that. But if you guys band together, speak out truthfully now, don't be getting on there lying and just jumping on bandwagons, because some people do that. But get on, really speak up about it. If Nene is alleging, what she is alleging is correct about how, her groups that she had with some of the housewives and conversations she's had with the housewives about the unfair treatment was right, but she was the only one that was speaking out and advocating. You guys should be rallying behind her, and there are some castmates that are still on the show, or is no longer on the show, that she has saved to be on the show, and they didn't rally behind her. At least we didn't see that in the forefront. We didn't see it. I'm not going to say that they didn't do it behind the scenes, but it definitely was not seen to the media, to the masses. Now, maybe they filmed a scene when they talked about it, and maybe it was edited out. I don't know. All I can speak about is, because I stay in the streets, my ears stay to the streets, and I really am into, the celebrity and pop culture. But yeah, Nene put the cast together, help bring the cast together for Atlanta Housewives. She didn't develop her memes. People, just because of the love people have for her, memes were developed out of her, out of her scenes filming on Bravo. And she should get paid for that. There is no reason why Nene Leakes is not on the same level as the Kardashians, and we're gonna get into some things about that, into the Kardashians, or even Bethany Frankel. There's no reasons why she didn't have the same opportunities, real opportunities, and we'll get into that later, as those other women. There's no Nene Leakes is TV gold. That's what's crazy. So let's get into some things, because I took a little bit of notes. I talked about the memes. I talked about the other treatment compared to, Nene's treatment. Now I'm going to get into some ugly things. This is all allegedly, but it also is on camera. Okay. Um, so I've noticed, this is with my eyes. This is not, and this is from a fan's viewpoint. I don't know what happened behind the scenes. I'm not in the Hollywood world. I'm not in any of that. But what I have learned, right? I want to expand this. What I have learned, when any woman gets into it with Andy Cohen, if you are black, notice in the reunions, maybe Nene, if you ever see this, I don't know. You could literally see, if you watch The Real Housewives of Atlanta from its beginning to like when Nene left, right? You could see, as each year, once the tension started building up, you could see the tension between her and Andy. I don't know if people caught it, but Andy has this thing where he always has this kind of witty shade, but you started noticing as the tension, because Nene in these interviews has been breaking down when she started, um, reaching out to executives, and reaching out to people in production, and the higher ups about, her concerns she had with her treatment, working on, with the company. You could tell that he started having an issue compared to when they first started. Okay. When they first started, he was a ha 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 all in her face. I thought they were best friends, to be honest. That's how it came off. But as you start to see the tension building up, meaning like the girls start singling her out more. They were ganging up on her. And I really feel like, if we're really going to be honest, I really honestly feel like, allegedly, because their goal was never to make Nene super big. I don't think they even, I'm not going to say the entire team at Bravo allegedly was like this, but I'm going to say, just based off of what I have been seeing, I don't think that they wanted to ever make a black person on the same level as Kim Kardashian or Bethany Frankel. I think it's always been a thing to get the black audience, and I'm not even just gonna, this is where I'm going off, right? Get the black audience, because let's be real, the black dollar is $1 trillion plus business. If you could get black viewers, you could get black fans, everyone knows you're going to be successful. White people do it all the time. They get into Black culture, they start off, being, friends with Black people, and then once they get on to what they really want to do, and this is not everybody, they get on, they leave. But they forget, you had this, Black friend, or, you had this person, or these people that rallied around you, that built your foundation, built your platform. And it just honestly kind of reinforces the systematic racism not only do we have in this country, but also just in the workplace. And that's a main reason why I wanted to talk about this, because this happens all the time to Black women. I'm so glad that Nene is speaking about this. Yes, this is reality TV. Yes, this is Hollywood, but this also made me want to open up more about, just my experiences in the workplace. Like Nene said in her interview with Bethany, that when they had the group messages with the housewives lady she was involved in, they were all, talking about, their concerns, their issues they had with the company. And Nene kind of was the spokesperson. She would speak up, she would do all of that. I'm that same way, and oftentimes when you are the person that would speak up for the entire team, you get singled out. And here's my advice for people. If you do not have, and you don't have to have a strong relationship with your coworkers, your peers, you just have to be around people that have good morals and isn't selfish. Okay. Because I've been in situations where I spoke up for my entire team I worked with, and I didn't bring any issues to HR, and I was disrespected or humiliated in front of everyone, and they went to HR. Numerous people went into HR and reported that person. So you really kind of got to read the room. Not everybody, one, they don't, there you gotta there's so many different layers to this. You got to learn to read the room, and you got to learn, you know what is the majority of people here? Are the majority of people here, are they established? Do they have anything to lose? Do they have good morals? Are they good people? Those are things you need to think about when you have that caregiver complex, or you have that advocator complex. Those are the things you got to think about, because you got to step back, you got to read the room, because you like, oh, if you got a lot of people that have a lot to lose, or is not very outspoken. And it's okay to not be outspoken, but there's two different kinds of people that aren't outspoken. It's the people that aren't outspoken, they're scary cats, they're not going to defend you. And then you have the ones that they do not want to be the person, the spokesperson, but they're going to back you behind in the shadows. They're going to back you behind. Rather that's writing emails, rather that's protesting with you, things like that. So you got to read the room. So that's very important. And I don't think Nene really had, all those women have shown, just based off of the media, that they're cowards. I'm just going to be real. They're cowards. It's all about securing a bag. It's all about that. But trust me, why would you want to stay in any toxic workplace? I don't care who you, and I tell people this all the time. I will not stay. I don't care if I jump from job to job. I will not stay in any environment where I feel like I'm not heard, when I feel like I'm not valued, when it's obvious racism, when it's discrimination. Well, when I feel like you're taking advantage of me, I will not stay in any situation. My mental health is more important than that. Call me a millennial, call me whatever. I am not about to endure your abuse. I'm just not going to do that. And I'm going to let it be known I'm not going to endure your abuse. And I always am going to have receipts. Always have your receipts, ladies and gents. Always have your receipts. But I noticed, going back to the interviews, right? The reunions. I noticed when Andy has an issue with someone, he will show little slight signs. You will see, like, his tone will change, his types of questions will change, and it really is more shady, and like he will respond and have like more sass and attitude. Okay, he's done that with Nene Leaks, and I forgot the other lady. I'm about to look her up right now, but she was on the Real Housewives of Potomac. Okay, I actually follow her on, oh, Monique. I think it's Monique. I think that's her name. He did that with Monique. Monique's not on the franchise anymore. She's not on there. He was disgusting when she came out with that notebook with all the receipts. They don't like that. They, at that company, you could tell they do not like, they like you enough to bring the ratings. They like you enough to build up franchise, but if you start speaking up about things, they're going to shut you out and they're going to blackball you. And they're going to get your own coworkers to start talking bad about you, and then they're going to spin a narrative about you, that might not be true. Because even when Monique got off of there, in the reunion, they were all nasty to her. And she came with them. She came hard. But you could tell with him, he had an issue with her. Pay attention to that. Pay attention to it. Okay? Go back on them reunions. I'm not now. I might not be explaining because I'm going off the dome of my head. So I'm just saying from a fan. Like, I watched all of these, episodes and shows. This was my little guilty pleasure. Pay attention to when he had tension with Monique, to when he had tensions with Nene Leakes. Pay attention. And then pay attention to those other franchises when he had issues, even when he had issues with Teresa, how he reacted to that. Pay attention to the difference. Okay? Nene been speaking a lot of gems, okay? In the beginning, Bravo wasn't really like that network. It wasn't that network. No one was really, if we're being honest, VH1 was in its prime. MTV and MTV2 was in its prime. Fuse was in its prime. Oxygen was in its prime. Bravo wasn't really, it was kind of like one of those, it was considered like a knockoff channel. Like, it really wasn't up there until the Atlanta Housewives I'm telling you, they took Bravo to a whole nother level. All them viewers, all of that, like, that literally is because you built your network off of getting the Black audience and then ditching them. I'm just going to be honest, ditching them, okay? You use people that the people love, right? Or is a fan favorite, and then you ditch them. All of you guys should be weary that are fan favorites on any reality TV, okay? Pay attention to that, because they always have an issue, especially if you're a Black person. They have an issue, allegedly. Okay. Now, this is a very interesting. I don't know if you guys remember. So, if someone could write in the comments later on when this video posts or whatever, the different seasons and all that stuff, if they notice the difference, what I'm saying, look at the reunions, they had the last for Nene, look at actually look at the whole fucking series from when Nene first started, from season 1 to when she left. Look at the difference. You could literally see the changes. You could see how she carries herself, how she's a little bit tense. She's a little bit I don't know. You could see the breakdown of it. So it's not she's coming out of nowhere with all these things. Like, I've seen that as a fan, watch it unfold. Yeah, so they use Black women to build up their stuff, and they will kick you to the curb. Don't ever, Candy, you better be safe. For whatever the reason, they love Candy over there. They love Candy over there. Candy is like the anatomy out of all of it. It's just it's kind of like one of those things where and I'm not calling Bravo racist, but just to give a metaphor, it's kind of like, when a particular ethnicity says they're not racist, and then they have a Black friend. But the Black friend is a token Black person, meaning they're educated, or they're very successful, or they got access to very powerful people. They don't align themselves with losers. Pay attention to that. Okay. Now, let's talk about Miss Jenner. Well, not Miss Jenner. Kris Jenner. Does she still go by Jenner? Anyways, let's talk about Kris, right? The Kardashians. Let's talk about it. I love Kris. I think she is amazing. I've said this on previous videos before and even podcast episodes. I think she is amazing. People really need to study her work ethic. They need to study, her networking ethic. And I'm just going to be real. You don't want to get on her bad side, because if you notice, anyone that gets on her bad side, they get blackballed or something happens, allegedly. I don't know if you guys remember, because again, I'm seeing it from fans' point of view. They would use Nene Leakes a lot for Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen. She was the special guest a lot. Hey, Walter, she was a special guest a lot. And she was building up his little talk show. Nene Leakes was. Then, do you guys remember when Kris Jenner had a talk show that failed miserably? They had Nene Leakes on there to help, and then they had, Kim Kardashian side by side with Nene. Really convenient how Nene came first and the Kardashians blew up. Anyone that speaks up, this is what I feel about the Kardashians. I think they're entertaining. I've always been a fan. I'm not going to sit here and say I haven't been a fan. I don't like when they do certain things. Um, but I will say I feel like they're the mafia. I feel like they're the mafia. I feel like if anybody's the Illuminati, they're the Illuminati. If you piss them off, you are something gonna happen to you. Listen, they got some kind of curse with the man. Lamar has issues. Look at all the men; they all have issues. They all like something tragic always happens with them. Like I really feel like those women have like a curse or something. Like I don't know, like it's something they need to heal back in their country, like somewhere in their lineage, somebody pissed somebody off, but that like when they're men, like they're something always happens to them. Okay. Always. But when people speak out on Chris, you don't hear nothing about them no more. Now with the kids, she keep it cute. Like she keep it cute. And a prime example is, they try to blackball Jordan. And this is going off a little sidebar, but I want you guys to do research if you stumble on here. Okay. When Jordan, and she got into that thing with Tristan, right? How they all came for her, how they all try to have the media come against her and basically blackball her and make her feel like she was wrong. Don't get me wrong, you still wrong. You still kiss Chloe, man. Like, come on now. We all know he's a dog, but you like, girl, you like their sister. And they try to come for her, right? They had everybody coming for her. They're doing episodes talking about her. They have people, calling her a whore, doing all this. And it's really funny because I don't know what her name is. Scottie Pippen's ex-wife. She was doing all that rah, rah, rah. And they're not even friends with her no more. Pay attention. They get if you I've noticed with them, if you don't have no real power, eventually to me, they remind me of Black Widows. Black widows, they will eventually bite your head off, if you are courting them or you're their mate. That's how I feel like they are. I feel like they're sirens as well. I feel like they're mythical, like it's something magical about them. Um, it's interesting going to the Jordan piece because everybody loved the Smiths family, right? Will Smith, Jada Smith, Jaden, Willow, right? And I don't know the oldest son because he's not really in the spotlight like that. They all loved him. And they were able to turn the press around and they used their power to protect Jordan because they are the godparents of her. And you notice all of a sudden, once they spoke up and once they defended her, and when Jada interviewed her, all of a sudden, all this hate for the Smiths started happening. They start talking bad about Jada. I'm just pay attention. Pay attention. I'm not just talking on my ass. Pay attention to the signs, the thing, like, listen, if you speak out or you do something that offend, them Kardashians, they're gonna come for you. They're gonna make sure you never work again. Or if they can't put you out of business, they're gonna make sure you always get bad press. They're gonna make sure the good things that you do, it never comes to light. It's always gonna be negative stuff, it's always gonna be drama, it's always gonna be something super bad. So, um, But yeah, something happened with that Chris Jenner and Nene Leakes thing. And I honestly feel like it's a combination of things. I feel like Bravo never really wanted to make a black woman super, super big. I don't think they wanted to put that backing behind that person. I always felt like it always was a money grab. I always felt like, and you can't be necessarily mad as black and brown people. It happens all the time. Okay. It's not like this is something new. This has been going on for generations, okay, and centuries. So, I don't feel like they didn't know that the society was going to love Nene so much. I feel like it kind of was a backfire thing. I feel like they knew she was going to be good for TV. I feel like they saw a value with her. But I don't think they saw that, wait a minute, if she doesn't stay with us, it's kind of like one of those toxic situations. I don't want you, but I don't want anyone to have you. If they're allegedly behind this blackball, that's kind of like what it is. But I got some theories on that. I got some theories. I got some advice for Nene. I think she should take. Okay. Um, I don't think they could handle that magnitude of a star she was and is. And she will bring the ratings every time. Okay. Um, People like Nene Leakes, people like Tiffany Poland, right? People like Jocelyn Hernandez, TV Golds, TV Golds, period. Can no one touch them? And Tanisha, right, from Bad Girls Club. Can nobody touch them? Okay. Um, and quiet as it's told, Natalie Nunn too. Natalie, she's at the bottom of the list for me, but you cannot give her the credit. But anyways, I don't feel like they really wanted to make someone super 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 big, because that's a lot of power, and people love an underdog. And if Nene knew her worth, which she knows her worth, they knew she would be a serious threat for her. So if this alleged blackball is due to them, I don't think it's just due to Bravo. I think it's allegedly Bravo, and I think it is the Kardashians. Allegedly. I really do. I really do. And this is from sitting back from the fans' view. Again, I've watched the series up until she left. I watched What Happened Lies with Andy Cohen, you know, because of Nene. Everything that Nene pretty much did, minus I didn't watch her TV show when she was acting, but like reality wise, I watched. So this is just my opinion. Also to the pay compensation. Um, I can't really speak on that, but we all know in the workplace there's a difference in pay compensation. That's all I'm going to say on that. Uh, and what I think Nene should do, let's go to that last. Let's go to that last. Let's let let's go to that last. Okay. I really think no, let's get into it. Let's get into it. I really think that the other women should speak up. It doesn't have to be just talent. It could be production. It could be anyone, right? I feel like the more people speak up, the more, the voices are going to be heard. The more impactful and powerful, and empowering, it will be for others. I think this is something that shouldn't be overlooked. No one should feel like it's systematic racism going on in the workplace. No one should feel like they're not being heard. No one should obviously be mistreated. No one should be blackballed because you're pissed at them and you don't even want to have a conversation with them. And I think that's disrespectful. If they were good enough for you to make millions and continue to make millions off of, you owe that person a conversation, even if you don't want to fucking be there. That's what a mediator is for. You should have the common decency to have that. And I get it. Sometimes people need time. And sometimes, and this is the crazy thing about grieving, hatred and just alternative motives, and not being able to emotionally regulate yourself. in a proper way is sometimes people offend you and they don't even know what's wrong, and you're walking around carrying all that heavy weight and all of that animosity and resentfulness, and that person is walking around and doing with their life, like any other day, just doing, living their life. You don't even they don't even know you've offended them, and you're over here mad, and you over here want to get vindictive, and you want to do things that are controlling, and that's the beauty of being mature and having a conversation. Now, maybe there should be what is it, an NDA signed when that happens. You can't talk. Just like, with Colin Kaepernick, he can't really say, what happened, when he settled what the NFL or whatever. Do that, but have that conversation. Have that conversation. You owe her that conversation, Bravo. And shame on you guys for not doing that. And shame on you guys for starving us from Nene. Okay, shame on you guys, because the fans love Nene. We always ask for Nene. Okay, and not like pouring into her like y'all should have poured into her. I really have a issue with people that use black women or black and brown people and then just discard them like we're not human, like we don't have feelings, and don't treat us right. It's a shame when you are a black and brown person. You better always be on your P's and Q's, because your counterparts, if they do something, it's not going to be serious repercussions for them. But if you do something, any little thing that you do, it's going to be monitored. You're going to get CC'd in emails, little petty things, or people are going to be passive aggressive with you, or they're going to call you. Oh, this is a funny one, because you're an advocator and you're not going to let anyone talk to you crazy. Is you're angry black woman. You're an angry black woman because you are speaking out. We shouldn't we have to deal with those things in the workplace on a daily basis. Like, this incident with Nene and Bravo is bigger than just Nene and Bravo. This happens to black women all the time. We are not heard. We are not heard. We don't get the same respect. We have to fight for everything. If we're super successful, we always got to look over our shoulder. Who's going to try to, who's going to try to sabotage us? Like, we don't have that luxury of having security and feeling safe. We don't have that. Okay. And we could go super deep in that, but I'm not going to go super deep in that. But let's go ahead. Overall, I do want to talk about the interview in its entirety. I think Bethany, you could tell she genuinely cares for Nene. You could tell there's a little bit slight shade. I don't know if it's really shade with Nene. I think it's more of, and she talked about it when I listened to her YouTube video when she talked about the interview. I think it's more of like, wow, like I should have been in that space, because it's kind of like she opened up the Bravo network even more. And I'm not going to discredit, the other housewives before, but let's be real. Y'all ratings was not rating like the housewives of Atlanta. And they weren't really talking about you. Y'all have to start slapping each other, throwing glass, pulling wigs, pushing down hosts. Y'all have to do all kind of stuff, money embezzlement, for people to start talking about y'all. And that's nothing against you guys. It's just you guys didn't have the sauce. And it is what it is. And I love Bethany. She was my favorite one. I love Bethany, but they weren't talking about y'all like that. They was talking about Bethany for sure. They're talking about Teresa for sure. And I can't remember her sister. And they were talking about Teresa's husband. The Real Housewife of OC was boring as hell. I tried to get into it. It was boring. Okay. We used to be excited. We used to have watch parties for when the Housewives of Atlanta first started. We used to have watch parties. I remember that. Like, that was like family and friends, and we all would watch it, because and then on top of that, you obviously could tell it was real issues. It wasn't fake. Like, a lot of the stuff you have to question if it's fake, if they're freaking acting. Um, but I thought the interview was very impactful. They unpacked a lot of things. I feel like Nene was a little bit reserved. She didn't want to keep saying the black, and it did come up in the interview when she said, I don't want to keep saying it's a black thing or black, but it is obvious. I really like that. I feel like she asked him impactful questions. Now, one thing that I wish both of them would have done, but Bethany was a little bit And I think it's hard, especially speaking to someone that powerful. They're both powerful women for one. But when you got two powerful people that come together, y'all gotta learn how to read the room, and y'all gotta learn to not cut each other off. Because there were times in the interview where Bethany would cut off Nene, and Nene was having a thought, and that thought was really gonna go somewhere else. But because she cut her off, we didn't get to that place. And then there were things where Nene would cut Bethany off when she was asking a question, and it kind of was a layered question. So Nene was trying to understand the first part of the question. So Bethany needs to learn to, especially speaking with Nene, don't layer up questions with her. Don't layer up questions. It shouldn't be like a double question. It should just be one question, let her answer, be clear, and then go off of that and feed off of the energy of the interview. But overall, I feel like they had great chemistry. I did feel like Nene was a little bit reserved. Um, I felt like there was times in the interview with Bethany, she was like, "Oh, is this about to go sour? Is this not?" I definitely picked up that tension, but she kind of masked it kind of well. But I am super great at reading body language, and you could tell she was. I'm not going to say she was uncomfortable. It was more like, okay, you could see in her head she was listening, but she also was thinking about, okay, what's the question so we don't go down that road, type of thing. I like the fact that they hugged at the end. I like the fact that Nene said, you know what, look, I kind of, I bought these things out. I didn't really have anyone to back me up about, the complaints I had against the workplace, and then the legal action that I had. And she didn't say blackball, but let's be clear. If she said she wasn't working, and every time she tried to work somewhere, she couldn't get a job. And be careful, Nene. I know you said the first time you worked was last year, and I did see you on College Hill, VH1. VH1 is also a vulture too. Be careful. Um, I what else? The production was obviously fantastic. Bethany has amazing production team. I wish that Bethany was spoke a little bit more about her disagreement she had in the workplace. I didn't like the fact that she was kind of egging to um the connotation that Nene did anything wrong. Maybe she did, but Nene is, I'm pretty sure, just being from a fan and watching her interviews and watching her from afar, I'm pretty sure if you talk to her respectfully and you let her know that she hurt your feelings, I pretty am sure that she would be very receptive to it, and she will want to learn from it, and she honestly would apologize for it, especially if she respects you. Um but Bethany was kind of egging on, like, what's your roses, what's your thorn, in your career or your life. And she was kind of like insinuating, for Nene to kind of like own up to something. I don't know what it is. That kind of opened up a question to me. I'm like, is it something that Nene and Bethany know that it's not being said to the public? Like, is she trying to say, like, hey, I am doing this olive branch for you, but I need you to say something. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't, you guys got to pick up on it. Watch the interview. Um, Now let's talk about what I think Nene should do, because, like I said, she is, in my opinion, she's number one reality gold. For one, I would never go back to Bravo again. For two, I would get them to admit that they blackballed her. Okay, I would get them to admit it, even if it's indirectly. Throw Andy under the bus. Bravo. And trust me, Andy, if it gets to that, they will throw you under the bus. You're not safe either. But I don't think she should ever go back to Bravo. I think they need to give her a large lump sum of money. I also think they need to create a union for the Real Housewives franchise, not just Atlanta. I think, yeah, that black ball needs to come off, because there's no reason why Nene should not be close to a billionaire by now. Honestly, like, being real. Because I really feel like when, Greg was alive, and how Nene is business wise, and Greg, I really feel like they would have built up a even stronger empire. um, provided that she was able to flourish, and it's not too late for her. God, it's funny because you could, try to diminish someone's light as much as you can. But when they're chosen, and Nene is chosen, again, she's a fan favorite. You can't buy that. It doesn't matter how much publicity you put towards the star you really want to be the star. The people know who is genuine. The people read who is the stars. The people know who's the stars. And the people is what makes you have money, makes you have viewership. Okay. But yeah, they need to give her a large lump sum of money. They need to pay her for that. There needs to be, a union form, right? There needs to be a public apology. There needs to be a conversation, okay, with whoever she wants to talk to, and it needs to be a genuine conversation. And if lawyers have to be around, then lawyers have to be around. I think she should be able to work with any network and not have to worry about this ever happening again. Um, I feel like she should be protected. And I also feel like she should get, I don't know her team she has now, but I really feel like she should get the best of the lawyers, best of the agents, all of that. And I really feel like Hollywood should open up on her because it's not like you're taking a gamble. It's not like she's washed up. Like, again, Nene is gold. Not only is she a reality star, she's an entrepreneur. She also is a great actress. Let her flourish, give her opportunities. And this is where, like Tyler Perry needs to step in. I mean, you got your own fucking studio. Okay? Like, step in, like, help, help. Okay? Oprah, help. The Smiths, help. Help. There's people that has power in Hollywood that is people of color. Help. Um Honestly, this might be far fetched, but I think this will be the network. I don't know if Nene will go to them, but I think this will be the network that she could turn the tides on, because in my eyes, they are on the road to destruction. It's going to happen. Somebody's going to get seriously hurt, or they're going to get sued super, super bad. They've already been sued before. But I mean, like, super, super bad. Okay, is the Zeus Network. The reason why I'm saying the Zeus Network is everyone loves Nene. She's going to bring a whole different type of viewership to the Zeus Network. Right now, it's all ratchet TV. You know, I am guilty of watching the baddies. I'm guilty of watching Jocelyn's Cabaret. But Nene will bring in something. Not only will she will school them girls, she will school Natalie, she will school Jocelyn, and I think it will be a good, even playing field. You're gonna need somebody else too that is strong. They need to bring over to that network, but I think it's going to balance out that toxicity they have over there, because Nene hasn't. One thing I can say, Nene has never been toxic on TV. She has always been very clever with her words, very funny, and she just naturally is that girl. So I really feel like she should really talk to Zeus. I don't know if that has happened or not. And I really think she should get her own reality show. I really think they should show who Nene is. I really think she should take on her life, how this shit has impacted her. And what's better than to say, okay, fuck you guys. I'm going over to a black network. And the amount of money that Lamel is making over there, whoever will come for him, he has the money, he has the backing. Nene, go to Zeus. Go to Zeus. Go to Zeus. And you want to know who else that, because of the situation, um, but you still gotta watch him, who I think should be a part of her team, is Jason Lee. I think he should be a part. I think those two should team up in some kind of way. I don't know if he needs to be executive producer. I don't know if they need to have a show together. Them two, gold. But he needs to be a part of her team in some kind of capacity. I don't know if it's representing her, but she needs to get on Jason's Lee's. They need to be a part of Hollywood Unlocked, should be a part of Nene's, rebranding. And I think because he has his own platform, if anyone tries to come for her, he got his own thing. Like, she needs to strategically work this Hollywood game and really make friends with the people that have superpower, that have a platform, that are their own boss. That is very critical for her. I think she should do that. I think she should go on Zeus. I think Zeus should give her her own reality show. She's going to flip it around. They're not going to always just have to do crazy shit. You know what I'm saying? And she could come up with, okay, you guys don't want Housewives of Atlanta, and then what would be even better? I don't know what their contracts are. What would be it even better if you have you bring Phaedra, you bring Cynthia over there. I'm just saying, Nene should get her own show, and they should have some kind of girl. Start your own little girl thing. That's what I'm saying. But yeah, these are my thoughts. Okay, you guys can fact check it if you want. But these are my thoughts, and I've seen everything, from a viewer standpoint. Everything's allegedly, everything is entertainment. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you like videos like this, you like me breaking down things like this, let me know and I'll speak more about them. But I really felt like that. This interview was so powerful for me because it's like I've been in situations where I spoke up and I didn't have anyone to defend me, and I left the situation. I decided not to sue them though, but I know if I would have sued them, I would have won. And then I've been in the situations where I've spoken up and I was humiliated, but I also had a team behind me that supported me. So that's the thing, the gamble you have of doing that and being a Black woman at the same time. So I hope this educated you guys a little bit. Okay, I'll see you guys next time. And thank you for supporting. And please tag Nene Leaks at the bottom. Tag Zeus, okay, at the bottom as well. And tag Jason Lee at the bottom. Bye.